I've had a few requests to talk about Iloilo, like by the neighborhood, where to shop, where to live, etc. We have 7 boroughs in Iloilo City, but it's not really set up like this is shopping, this is housing. It's all mixed. So we can address the shopping, housing, restaurants, etc. But I can't really just say Manjurial is this, Haro is that, because it's all really mixed. It's just the way it is here. So we're going to discuss the activities and talk about the neighborhoods as we go. I have been to La Paz and La Paz, however you pronounce those two. Some maps show them as one, some show them as 2 boroughs. I've been to those very little, so I don't know much about them. I will not be talking about them as much as the others. If you live there, no offense, I just don't go to those areas as much because I haven't found anything I needed other than the boat docks. If you want one-stop everything, one-stop shopping, Mega World will get you your more Western style condos. It will get you a mall, art museum, the immigration office. All your different shopping and grocery needs are right there in Mega World. It's in Manjurial, and it is very much a one-stop everything, but it's going to cost you. There's a lot of cheaper options depending on what you're looking for. But the condos are nice. This is other parts of town. They have swimming pools, decent sized living areas, but the bedrooms are generally tiny. Like 8 foot by 9 foot. Really small bedrooms. But you have nice views. The houses, especially a few years older, are going to get you more room for less money. Any of these houses or apartments all over the city are all very similar. So it's not like you're going to pick your part of town by the house. You got your standard Filipino apartment. I've lived in it and was very happy with it. Good sized rooms, much bigger bedrooms than you get in the new stuff. The houses, even some of the older ones, tend to be small, but they're not bad. You'll see this is very common. You take a carport, close it over, make a room out of it. That's done a lot. Then you'll have your small kitchen. Some of these are like more outdoors, and this isn't enclosed. Others, they'll enclose it, make it inside. Decent living room. And then surprisingly, these older houses have really nice sized bedrooms. And this is about the size of the bedroom we had at our apartment in Manjurial. Depending on what you want to spend, any of the neighborhoods are going to be about the same as far as housing goes. There's expensive Western style, there's Filipino style. The prices range a lot, and I've covered that in other videos. But you're not probably going to pick a neighborhood just because of the housing. They're all kind of mixed together. One thing very popular here in the neighborhoods is parks. You got these plazas all over the city. Each borough has their own. This is downtown. This is Plaza Libertad, right next to City Hall. And then over here next to Customs House, you've got Sunburst Park, which is just a block away from Plaza Libertad. There's a lot of parks, and I really like that because you get some shade, you get some greenery. Different boroughs will have different quality plazas. This is Haro, by far my favorite plaza. It is really large. It's got a lot of neat stuff for the kids to do. It's got shade, it's got benches. This is my favorite plaza by far. Molo's got a pretty good one. Most of them are nice. I would say, unfortunately, I live in Manjurial, and Manjurial easily has the worst plaza. But we have the river and the river walk, so it's not so bad. We also have a lot of malls, but our plaza is really small and run down. All the plazas are being renovated right now, so we'll see what they look like later. Right now, they're all covered in plastic wrap and construction sites. Along the river, you've got some hotels, swimming pools. A lot of these hotels will let you go in by the day and just use the pool. You can pay a daily rate, use their pool. So if you want, you don't have to get a condo with a pool. You can get an apartment or a house and go to the hotels and just pay 150 pesos for the day for the use of their pool, which is convenient. Because you're not going to find most apartments and stuff here are not going to have a swimming pool. Downtown proper has some of the coolest old buildings. It's all these historic buildings, and they're lovely. I really enjoy going down there just to see the architecture. The shopping is kind of iffy, because these were like the huge stores. This was way back, like 100 years ago. You would come down here for all your European fashions. Those days are gone. Most of these shops are pretty junky and run down, and I hate to see that. But if you're looking for like cloth stores, some of your more specific hardware needs, fishing needs, things like that, downtown is where you're going to go. This has a lot of the good shopping for your off-the-wall stuff. You're looking for, good fishing nets or cloth, the glittery cloth and all that. Downtown's going to be where you find it. For shopping, for produce, like your vegetables and fruits, there's no choice but the wet market. I mean, your grocery stores are going to have fruits and vegetables. The selection's going to be smaller, the quality's not as good, and the price is going to be double. You really are going to use the wet market for most of that. I would. I just couldn't imagine buying this stuff at the grocery store. You get a bigger selection of fish at the wet markets. Pork and chicken, you can go either way. The prices are about the same. It's a little bit more expensive to get your pork and chicken at the grocery store, but I think a lot of times the quality is better and the refrigeration is definitely better. But as far as your produce, the selection of fruits and vegetables here is really good. It's so much better now than it used to be. When I got here 9 years ago, you couldn't find lettuce. That was a rarity. Now, all the time, we've got all the really good choices. And you can grind your coconuts. The wet market's where you're going to do a lot of your weekly shopping for all your produce, maybe your fish, but all your fruits and vegetables certainly, and even your lumpia wrappers.
So then that's it. That's how you make lumpia wrappers.
Also, you run into some odd stuff. What is this dude on the bicycle doing?
You ever seen a portable knife and scissor sharpener? Bicycle? I heard the motor. I thought it was like a motorized bicycle, but no, it's a portable sharpener. Pretty cool.
The grocery store is where you're going to get all your breads, canned goods, probably your foreigner food as well. The foreigner food selection has gotten so much better than we used to get. I do find it funny that they have the Oriental goods in Asia. It's their shelf of Japanese and Korean goods. Downtown is the atrium. It's got a hotel, food court, a little bit of a shopping mall, and Iloilo supermarket. When I first got here 9 years ago, this was it. This was where you came for foreigner food. Most of your tourists stayed in this hotel. The grocery store catered to foreigners. That's not the case so much anymore. I think most of your tourists are staying over in Mega World and Smallville, and the grocery stores all over town now sell more foreigner food. When I first got here, you couldn't find cheese. It was a rarity. This still is a good store, but mostly for foreigner food, you'll go to S&R. big box store, Costco, Sam's type of place. Actually, they sell Kirkland brands, so they really are Costco. But it's got all your big name brands. One of the main things is you can't get decent flour or brown sugar here if you bake. S&R has good flour and good brown sugar, like American style. So if you're baking, it's a wonderful thing. And you get odd things like cake mixes and sometimes cake icing. Very rarely do they have them at the same time. But S&R is a good store. It's got a lot of foreigner stuff. They have a decent produce section, but like all the others, it's about double the price of Super or Central Market downtown. We do all our produce shopping downtown. But you get your luncheon meats, good liquor selection. Well, you can get the liquor selection at 7-Eleven. What am I talking about? S&R is pretty good, but since S&R came, other grocery stores now sell a lot of the same stuff. You couldn't get big jars of mustard. All we had was a small McCormick's mustard. Anywhere, even restaurants, that's all they could get. Now that S&R is here, everybody has 2 or 3 different brands of mustard, because whoever's supplying S&R is supplying all the other grocery stores. So it's helped in grocery shopping all around. But other than downtown for the wet markets, any grocery store, any part of town, you're pretty much going to be okay. It's not a neighborhood specific thing. Downtown is fun for just the funky shopping. They got cool stuff, the street vendors, all your pirated DVDs.
Want to ride the train? Anyway.
Every neighborhood also has malls. They love their malls here. And what was odd when I first got here, but I quickly fell in love with it, is the malls have the grocery store. Robinson's Mall has Robinson's Grocery. SM has the SM Grocery. And as you can see, the malls here are decent size. They're modern. They're nice. These are better than a lot of American malls I've seen. And although it's kind of slow in this picture, these malls do very good business. People love shopping here. You're not going to be hurting for stuff like we used to be. This building wasn't even here. Matter of fact, this whole shopping strip here wasn't here when I moved here. They got the street shopping, the little strip malls. They've got big malls. All over town there are malls. You can't walk around here without tripping over a mall. So the shopping is really good, and that, again, is not neighborhood specific. This happens to be in Manchuria. This is Mega World, which is also Manchuria. But Haro has some nice malls. Right outside of Haro is Pavia. It's not technically in the city, but very close. Huge malls, lots of housing. So anywhere you go is going to be very similar. But as far as the malls go, you got it all over town. Lots of malls, lots of good selection. So it's really not a problem shopping here. It used to be a huge issue. When I first got here, shopping was very difficult. You didn't have any good quality products. You'd go to SM and you'd pay $75 for some scratchy sheets. I mean, we ordered so much from the U.S. to come. If I'd known, I would have shipped sheets and pillows. Now, you can go to S&R. They've got good quality, decent prices. It's more expensive than you're going to get at the regular mall, but it's a much better quality. And the stuff at the mall, the quality has improved. So shopping has gotten much better. And again, it is not neighborhood specific. Every neighborhood has malls. Restaurants. It's not just Jollibee's. But Jollibee's is here. A lot of street food. I love street food, but my biggest concern with street food here is that too much of it's the same. If you look at this cart, he's got this great variety of food. But if you look at the cart next to him and the cart across from him, they all have the same selection of food. It's not like Singapore or Korea where you go around and everybody's got different foods. I've done some amazing street food in other countries. I enjoy the street food here, but it's not as amazing. But we do have dirty ice cream. Why they call it dirty ice cream, I don't know, because it's not dirty. It's actually quite good. These street vendors have 3 different flavors. Sometimes they'll mix them. This is like coconut, avocado, and melon, which is what they call cantaloupe. And it's really good and really cheap. This is a very small ice cream, but it's only 10 pesos, which is 20 cents. Soup. They love soup. You got your bok choy, you got your pancit molo, you got ramen, you got arroz caldo. A lot of soup here in Iloilo. They love their soup. Luckily, so do I. But it's not just soup. We got all kinds of food here. Go downtown for Roberto's. You get your good standard Filipino food. They say it's a Chinese restaurant, but sure, whatever. And they have a wonderful siopao. It's a steamed rice bun filled with meat. This one is got to be at least twice as big as most restaurants. This is a huge siopao. And it's pretty good. Gotta admit, they do a good job. What's gotten popular lately, and I really like it, is these food courts. This popped up. It was a vacant lot. They put in some kiosk. Different people will close them in or leave them open as a kiosk. You have a lot of restaurants popping up like this, and you can come in here and you got 8 or 10 places to choose from. Some have roofs, some don't. This one does. Roofs are good in the rainy season. Restaurants at the mall, of course, you got everything. Get some decent ribs at Rib Shack. There's all your burger places, pizza, all the regular junk food, all your standard Filipino food. There's restaurants everywhere here. Back at our river walk, we've got some of the more foreigner friendly. You've got some Korean places, Mediterranean, Vietnamese, and then of course Shakey's. There's a few of these around town. I hadn't seen one in the U.S. in I don't even remember how long. And there's 3 or 4 of these here in Iloilo. Pizza's pretty good. It's got good ice cream sundaes. I like Shakey's. It's a little overpriced for me because the rest of the food here is so much cheaper. But it's not bad. I go to it every once in a while, and I enjoy it. And then, of course, you can always go for a big buffet. We have a few different places doing buffets. This is Vikings. It's probably the biggest and probably the most popular and the best. Some of the selections are kind of iffy. You have your Italian, which is, the pizza is not great, but it's there. The kids eat that. It's got the Japanese section. One thing missing would be a Mexican section. I'm not sure if it would be any good, but I'd like for them to try. One of the main things there is their grill. They do grilled meats. They've got big chunks of beef, lamb, all kinds of stuff. So I go there and I'm pretty happy with that. This isn't really going by the neighborhoods necessarily, but housing's going to be similar anywhere you go. You've got the big expensive subdivisions that you can get those. Each neighborhood has their own and they're all very similar. Be gated, have a pool, clubhouse, what have you. Those cost a bit more than I want to spend, and I don't really need to be in a big subdivision, so I don't care. I am in an overpriced condo. The condos are small, but they're nice. They're conveniently located, they have a pool, they have security. The rooms are small, the rent is big. I understand that, and I'm okay with it. The apartments and houses in town are actually pretty good. You can get some of the just a few years older, and they're a good bit bigger and cheaper. I had an apartment that was almost double the size of this at half the price. So it can easily be done. But it's not like this is the housing neighborhood, this is the shopping neighborhood. We don't really have that in Iloilo. Most of the Philippines doesn't seem to be like that. It's all mixed. This neighborhood's got housing, it's got shopping, it's got all that. You just have to go around and find one you're comfortable with. Also, the way the neighborhoods are set up, it's not like a rich neighborhood, poor neighborhood. You'll have, these are family lands. If someone comes into money, they build a nicer house. So you have a nice house next to a really small house, across the street some squatters. It's all very mixed, so you don't really go to a neighborhood like this is the, well, in Texas what we called it was like, I lived in Mexican part of town and my brother lived in white America. I'm not sure if those are politically correct, but that's what we called it. It's not set up like that here. It's all really mixed. Now, there are going to be some subdivisions that are much more expensive, and there's going to be just the moneyed area. But in your regular neighborhoods, that's not the case. If you're looking for the gated subdivisions, they have them. I've never lived in one, but they don't look bad. I know some guys that live in them that are quite happy. Haro is supposed to be the more moneyed neighborhood. It's got more businesses, more of the money, and more traffic. So it's a really congested part of town. I've known people that live there that love it. I go there when I have to, and I try and stay out of it because the traffic is so bad. Manjurial is getting built up. We've got the SM City, we've got Mega World, we've got the River Walk. So I think Manjurial is really good and centrally located in the city. So I think that's actually a good option. Just for, like, in general, if someone says where's a good part of town, I would recommend Manjurial. But it depends on what you want. Vilia is a little farther out. It's closer to the beaches, and it's got some couple colleges, so there's tons of college kids. Last couple years with COVID, it's been pretty empty. Generally, when you go there, you've got some subdivisions, you've got some decent little apartments and houses, and you've got the beach with all the little beach resorts and restaurants, which is really cool. But when school is there, it's packed with kids. It's just, tons of 20-year-olds running around. It gets on my nerves after a while. I enjoy going there for visits. I don't know that I would want to live there. I know some guys that live there that really like it. There's actually a lot of expats live in Vilia. It's probably Vilia and Manjurial are probably where most of the expats that I know live. Molo is a little more part of downtown proper almost. It's just kind of, it looks like city proper is bled over to Molo. There's not a lot of difference. There's no real visible dividing line. It's very congested. Jeepneys running everywhere through there because to get into city proper, there's only a few ways to get in. And they all seem to go through Molo. So there's a lot of traffic, decent shopping, decent housing. You get off the main road just a street or two, and it's quiet and it's nice. But generally all we see is the main road, and it just seems congested. I'm sure Haro is the same way. I just see Haro from the main roads. Haro is huge. It's the by far the biggest borough. City proper is your downtown area, and there's some apartments and houses mixed in there, but it is mostly the business district. There's a lot of people living down there, but I haven't seen very much there foreigner style. So I'm not sure. I've known a couple guys that lived in hotels. They got long-term stay hotels you can do there. La Paz, like I said, I haven't been in either of those very much. The boat docks are there. So if I'm taking a ferry somewhere, I go through there. A couple different ferry stops depending on if you're doing the local or the long distance. There's different ferries. So there's different docks you go to. The parts I've seen look like what's around a dock. It's kind of the lesser part of town. But again, you get away from the docks a little bit and it picks up and it's really nice. So all the areas are really very similar. And you can drive around and you're going to see right next to the docks, you're not going to want to live. Right next to a giant mall or a big college, you might not want to stay just because of the traffic. But you get a couple streets away and it's all very nice. So I can't really say that this is a shopping neighborhood, a residential neighborhood. It is all very mixed. I've lived in a couple different parts of Manchuria, and I really like it. The traffic is getting worse, but it's not as bad as Haro City proper and Molo. Those are very bad traffic. As I said, Vila has just far too many college kids. Parts of La Paz and Haro also have a lot of college kids. Manchuria seems to be going for housing and shopping. They're putting in a lot of malls. We've got the Riverwalk, so maybe I'm biased, but I really like Manchuria. So that's not exactly by the neighborhoods, but it's by the activity. And all the neighborhoods have their pluses and minuses. You just have to go around and see what's comfortable for you. I like the Riverwalk.
Enjoy your day in paradise.